Hello friends, in this video we will discuss the pollution topic of quick revision module by Vision IAS. Let's start with the first topic. First topic is about the air pollution. Let's first define the air pollution. What is air pollution? Pollution is actually the contamination of air by discharge of harmful substances. Let's see what is given in the slide. It is given what is air pollution is made up of. This is discussion of the gases versus particle. This is not required to study the whole slide. This is not very important slide. First topic is this gases versus particle. It is the comparison between the gases and particles. The important point here is about the MAIA investigation. MAIA is actually the multi-angle imager for aerosol. This is actually a satellite by NASA. This satellite will investigate the health impacts of air pollution in the world's most populated cities. Its primary goal is to benefit the societal health. Next, it is given about the size of the particles. We know that we differentiate different particulate matter on the basis of its size. Particulate matter, generally we count about the particulate matter 2.5 and PM10. This is in the micrometer. The size in the micrometer it is given, that is we write it mu m, that is micrometer. What is 2.5 and PM10? If you will see, actually we measure it through the sieve size. You understand there is different sieve, means this is like sieve. The particle which can penetrate through this comes under this. If the size is like size of this sieve is like 10 micrometer, and if a particle will pass through this, then we will call it particulate matter 10. It is written particles under 10 micrometer in diameter. So this diameter of this sieve is actually 10 meter. The particle which passes through it is called 10 micrometer, PM10, and the particulate matter of 2.5, like if the diameter of size 2.5 meter of this sieve, and if the particle will pass through this, then we call it particulate matter 2.5. It is written about the types of particulate matter. PM types include black carbon, mineral dust, tiny liquid droplets containing sulfates, nitrates, organic carbon. Black carbon, which makes up soot, is left over after the something burns. Means it is talking about the black carbon, soots, everything. This is also talking about the organic carbon aerosol. But this is giving the different types of particulate matter. Just you have to know, not very important for the examination. Let's see the next topic. Next topic is about the adverse health effect. What are the different adverse health effect? It is giving like different types of pollution, that is indoor air pollution and outdoor air pollution, and their major sources. Indoor air pollution, we all know this is solid fuel combustion, cigarette smoke, poor ventilation, household processes. And about the outdoor pollution, like major vehicles, industries, forest fires, and biomass combustion. Then it is talking about the effects at different stages, like this is the birth, early life, and adulthood. What are the different health effects from this type of indoor as well as outdoor air pollution? Let's see the birth, initial time of the birth. Low birth weight can be problem. This is intrauterine growth restrictions, like at the time of birth. Preterm birth, this is about the premature birth. Stillbirth, this is neural tube defects. Different types are given. Okay, here the early life asthma, upper airway irritation, cardiac dysfunctions, development and the insulin resistance, respiratory illness it is giving. Adulthood, strokes, cardiovascular dysfunction, DNA damages, and chronic bronchitis, respiratory illness. This type of disease is given. Not very much important that you are going to remember all this, not required. Yeah, if you need to see, just you have to divide, like if it is written in like long answers, then you can write like it is indoor air pollution and outdoor air pollution. Not too much required for the prelims. Moving to the next topic, particulate matter. We have already discussed this particulate matter. What I told you, like there's sieve size and differentiations are given. It is giving about the size, not too important. If you want to just see, you can go through this, like examples of particulate matter, dust, mist, fumes and smoke. Moving to the next topic. Next topic was about a smoke. Okay, this is about smoke. There are different types of smoke. Two types of smoke is written. This is one is the classical smoke and other is the photochemical smoke. But before starting this topic, I will ask you a simple question. What is the difference between primary pollutant and secondary pollutant? Then we will go to the next this topic. What are the primary pollutants? First, if you will define primary pollutant, and then it's the secondary pollutant. Okay, what is the primary pollutant? These persist in the form in which they are added to the environment. Like if you are releasing sulfur dioxide, if it is in the form of sulfur dioxide or carbon monoxide or DDT, these are example of primary pollutants. Even if you will talk about the plastics also, this is also a primary pollutant, because they persist in the form in which they are added to the environment. They are not going to change their form. Okay. Well, what is the secondary pollutant then? Secondary pollutant is actually, I should write here, otherwise it will be too congested. Secondary pollutant is this, like which are formed by the interaction among the primary pollutants. Means if the different primary pollutants interact, they form some different pollutant, then it is called secondary pollutant. There are different examples. One of the most important is PAN. Next is O3, ozone. Okay, so these are the secondary pollutants. Like if you will see PAN is formed by the interaction of nitrogen oxide and this hydrocarbon. This is formed by nitrogen oxides and hydrocarbon. Whereas O3, ozone is formed by VOCs, and this is nitrogen dioxide, I can say nitrogen dioxide in presence of sunlight. So these are the secondary pollutants which are formed by the interaction among these are the primary pollutants. So they are formed by the interaction of the primary pollutant. Let's see the detail of this classical and the photochemical smoke. First, see the classical smoke. In winter, whatever you have seen, this is the classical smoke. Like here it is written, cool humid climate, smoke, fog and sulfur dioxide. This is like in winter season, what you see is generally a example of classical smoke. Whereas photochemical smoke occurs in the dry and the sunny climate. In this also you can see word photo means in presence of sunlight. So for forming the photochemical smoke, there is requirement of sunlight, so it is written here sunny climate. How this photochemical smoke forms? Like this is written VOC, volatile organic compounds, and this nitrogen dioxide, they form O3, that is ozone. Means ozone formation in troposphere, which is considered as the bad ozone, can only form in presence of sunlight. So in general, we draw a graph for the presence of ozone like this. Like this is the peak hour when ozone forms. This is approximately 2 to 3 p.m. afternoon time. The ozone peaks, but this declines after the sunlight goes off, means in the evening. Okay, and this is amount of the ozone. Okay. One more difference is given, like on this classical smoke is the reducing smoke, whereas photochemical smoke is this is oxidizing smoke. This is important, you should know. Let's move to the next. It is given about the formation of photochemical smoke. I have already discussed. You should go through the steps, and different photochemical smoke oxidants are also given here. PAN, that is peroxyacetyl nitrate, aldehyde and acrolein. These are okay, you should know the examples. Okay, and here whole process is given. Nitrous oxide and nitrogen dioxide, when these means react in presence of sunlight. And one more important point you should know: nitrogen dioxide can also be a secondary as well as primary pollutant, because it can form through the oxidation also. So nitrogen dioxide is both primary as well as secondary pollutant. This is important point, you should know that. Okay, here it is, the reaction is given. Okay, if you want to see, you can see. Let's see the next topic, that is air pollutants and their sources. Here the pollutants, sources and their harmful effects are given. In pollutants also, they have divided into two parts. First is the gaseous pollutants and second is the particulate pollutants. In the gaseous pollutants, this is just a slide you should see. First is, in the gaseous pollutants, oxides of the carbon. You all know about the CO and the CO2. The sources, burning of the wood, coal and the other fossil fuel like petroleum. And what are the harmful effects? Greenhouse gas. Like one of the most important in this greenhouse gas is the carbon dioxide, which is the mostly responsible for the global warming. Respiratory issues because of the carbon monoxide also we can say. Next is the oxides of sulfur, that is SO2 and H2S. Power plants, refineries, volcanic eruptions when the sulfur containing fuel is burned. Acid rain, you know what is responsible for the acid rain? This is oxides of sulfur and oxides of nitrogen. This is responsible for the acid rain. You know, we define the rain having pH value less than 5.6 as the acidic, like acid rain. Okay? If the rain is having pH value less than 5.6, then it is considered as acid rain. Okay. Next is respiratory issues, loss of chlorophyll in the plants like chlorosis. These are the oxides of sulfur effect. Next is the oxides of nitrogen. You all know, like, nitrogen is formed by lightning. This is because of the thundering lightning. This is important. In automobile exhaust also, like formation of NO and NO2. Next, what is the harmful? Again, the acid rain is there. Okay, I already told you, like acid rain, for the acid rain responsibility goes to the oxides of sulfur and nitrogen. And what are the different effects? These are simple: irritation to eyes, lungs, and low productivity in plants, these etc. Next is coming to the hydrocarbons. Automobile and the petroleum industries, incomplete combustion of fuels. These are carcinogenic. What is carcinogenic? Which can cause cancer is known as carcinogenic. And respiratory issues will also be there. Just you should see once. Next is the particulate pollutants. What are the particulate pollutants? First is the suspended particulate matter, is about fly ash, lead and other metals. Fly ash, you know about what is the main source of fly ash? This is actually the thermal power plants. Many state governments have already some regulations about the fly ash. Like, fly ash should be used in the proper way. Actually, fly ash is having different use that can be used in the cement industry, construction, and also in agriculture. This has already been asked in UPSC also, prelims. So what are the different sources? Thermal power plants, construction activities, metallurgical processes, and automobile exhaust. Like lead and other metals are produced from this automobile exhaust. What are the harmful effects? This forms smoke, what we have studied earlier, leads to the poor visibility, breathing problem. Lead interferes with the development of the red blood cells, and this is again carcinogenic. Lead is again carcinogenic, it is given. Next is the fibers like cotton and wool, textile in the carpet weaving industry, lung disorder. Okay, so different types of disease occurs through these type of pollutants. This is difference between various indices. This is three types of indices is given: sulfur, NaAQS, AQI. You all know about the air quality index. Let's start see the differences. First is sulfur, SAFAR. This is system of air quality and the weather forecasting and research. What is NaAQS? National Ambient Air Quality Standard. And this is the most common air quality index. This is air quality index. Okay, so let's first see the details about sulfur, then we'll see like that. Okay, this sulfur is introduced by Ministry of Earth Sciences. This is developed indigenously by Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, Pune, and operationalized by Indian Meteorological Department, IMD. This provides the location specific information on air quality near real time and the forecast 1 to 3 days in advance the major metropolitan political cities of India. This is the specific feature which is not present in any of them. Means it is having the forecasting nature. Okay, so this suffer can forecast what are the different weather and changes will be there. Next is pollutants monitor. Different pollutants like PM1, PM2.5, PM10, ozone, different pollutants are given. You should know this. Okay. Next is meteorological parameter. What I was telling, like meteorological parameter: UV radiation, rainfall, temperature, humidity, wind speed, wind direction, and solar radiation will also be informed by SAFAR, which is not applicable for the NAAQS and air quality index. This is the specific feature of SAFAR which you should know how it is different from the others. Next is NAAQS. This is notified by the Central Pollution Control Board, the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. If you will see, NAAQS is the oldest. This is actually the oldest. Okay, this is approximately like it is it was given, and this is the newest. This is air quality index which is introduced in 2014. NAAQS standards serves a guideline for the monitoring and controlling the air pollution. It covers the 12 pollutants. Different name of the pollutants are given. First thing, if we have already the SAFAR and NAAQS, then what is the use of air quality index? Actually, these are the complicated data which cannot be easily understandable by the people. So, in common terms, means it is easy to understand. Okay, then AQI is introduced, which is easy to understand. It transforms the complex data of air quality, like these, how means we will calculate the data, into means single number, you can say, or nomenclature is also given, like good, satisfactory, moderately poor. This type nomenclature is given, or color code is also given. So it is easy to understand by every type of like people. Okay, if is educated or not doesn't matter. Air quality index can be understand because of its representation. This is actually initiated by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change under the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. It is color coded index graded with the possible health impact. Different color coding is given for this, and also means nomenclature is also given, like 6 nomenclatures are there for this. 6 nomenclatures are there. First is good. Good is for 1 to, this is 50. 1, this should be 0 to 50. Next is satisfactory. Satisfactory is 51 to 100. Next is moderately poor. Yeah, moderately polluted. This is for 101 to 200. Next is poor is for 201 to 300. Next is very poor is 301 to 400, and severe is for 401 to 500. This is basically given the different nomenclature. Okay, so see, there are 6 air quality index. Okay, it is given here: good, satisfactory, moderately polluted, poor, very poor, and severe. What I have written the values. There are 8 major pollutants in this: particulate matter, PM10 and PM2.5, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, ozone, carbon monoxide, ammonia, and lead. If you will compare this with the NAAQS, these you can remove like these 4: benzene, benzopyrene, arsenic, and nickel. these four are not included. There are 12 pollutants in this NAAQ, and this is 8 pollutants in this air quality index. These 4 pollutants are not there. So you should know the comparative study also. So what is the use of air quality index? It is actually easy to understand and which can be represented in single number, color or nomenclature. So by this, it is easy to understand by the people. Okay. Next is this Gutenberg protocol. Gutenberg protocol, it is one of the 8 protocols under UNEC Convention on Long Range Transboundary Air Pollutant, CLRTAP or Air Convention. It was adopted in 1999 to abate 3 purposes for this. First is acidification, second is eutrophication, and third is ground level ozone or bad ozone. Okay, this is initially for the 3 purposes to reduce 3 effects: acidification, eutrophication and the ground level ozone. The revised protocol means it was introduced in 1999, again it is revised in 2012, sets national emission ceiling up to 2020, means that it has given the ceiling for sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, volatile organic compounds and ammonia. It is also the first binding agreement to include emission reduction contaminants for the fine particulate matter. Also, black carbon or soot, a short-lived climate pollutant, is included within the particulate matter for the policy making. First, you just need to know Gutenberg protocol aims to reduce the harmful effect of the air pollutant. It is for the transboundary air pollution, means which affects the most of the world. Reason is called trans, means it is not limited to some boundary. Okay, so we are calling it as a transboundary air pollutants. Okay, and the effects are from the sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, volatile organic compound and ammonia. For these ceilings had been set. Initially it was for acidification, eutrophication and ground level ozone. Next, coming to the legislations to control air pollution. We are going to here study 2 legislations. The first, the Air Prevention and Control of the Pollution Act 1981, and this is one of the most important. We all know about the EPA, that is Environmental Protection Act of 1986. First is the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. The act defines air pollutants and the pollution and provides regulations for the application of the fuel automobiles for preserving the quality of air. It is also conferred power to the Central Pollution Control Board. This is one of the important, which is already means UPSC generally asked, like Central Pollution Control Board, means it can create a question. Central Pollution Control Board confers its power from the act. Should be important. The act is Prevention and Control, Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act 1981. So you should remember like CB, this CPCB to act as a nodal authority to control the air pollutants in India. This is one of the most important point you should remember in this. Next is Environmental Protection Act. It authorizes the central government to protect and improve environmental quality, control and reduce pollutants from all sources, that is air, water and land, and prohibit or restrict the setting or operation of any industrial facilities on the environmental grounds. So for industries also, we all follow the Environmental Protection Act 1986. Coming to the next is the steps taken to curb the air pollution. The first is about the National Clean Air Program. Central government launched National Clean Air Program in 2019. Under the Central Sector Control of Pollution Scheme as a long-term time-bound national level strategy to tackle the air pollution problem across the country in comprehensive manner, with the target to achieve 20 to 30% reduction in the PM10 and PM2.5 concentration by 2024, keeping 2017 as the base year for the comparison of concentration. But this target, what is given like 2024, by 2024 the this PM10 and PM2.5 should be reduced to 20 to 30% is now changed. It is now targeted till 2026 and the percentage should reduce by the 40%. Like initially it is given 20 to 30%, now it is 40% we have to reduce. Next it is given about the Bharat stage emission standards. Bharat stage emission standards. Okay, we all know we have shifted directly from BS4 to BS6. BS6 like means we have skipped BS5. We have skipped BS5. This is the great initiative by the government of India to curb the pollution. Let's see what details are given. You understand this why we are shifting from BS4 to BS6. This is to maintain the international pollution level. Okay, in this emission limits are means comparatively to this BS4, the emission limits for the BS6 is very low. Okay, so we can curb the pollutants. These are, let's see the statement first is these are the legal limits on the amount of air pollutants like carbon monoxide and the particulate matter that the vehicle in India can emit. That's what I am telling. The overall limit for emission is reduced in this. These standards are targeted at making improvement in three areas. First is the emission control, next is the fuel efficiency, and third is the engine design. How the emission control we have seen, they limit the emission control limit. Fuel efficiency, more fuel efficient engines will be developed, so it will do through the engine design. India has planned to shift BS4 norms from the BS6 from 2020. This is the great initiative. Okay, next coming to this is the third one. Third is the carbon emission by the thermal power plants. Carbon emission from the thermal power plants is itself a most important environmental pollutant. Let's see. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has notified the environmental norms to reduce emission, particulate matter 10, sulfur dioxide and oxides of nitrogen. Next is Graded Response Action Plan enforced by EPCA, that is Environmental Protection, this control agency. This is Graded Response Action Plan enforced by EPCA. I think you can understand the meaning by this word also. This is Graded Response Action Plan. It is like if the pollution level, see this is first statement is for Delhi and NCR region. It means the pollution level in Delhi will, as it will increase, the government will put some graded response. Like in the first stage, what if the pollution is going to poor level, what the government steps will be taken. In the second stage, what it will take, and then the third stage what you will take. Like government will has already planned, like the stoppage of this diesel vehicle and all this diesel generator, parking fees increase. These are the steps taken by government, like with the increase in the pollution. So it is graded, like if the pollution level will increase by like from poor to severe, how the government will change its policy. Let's see what is given. For Delhi and NCR region, which comprises the graded measures for each resource framed according to air quality index category. For example, during very poor air quality, it recommends banning diesel generators, parking fee increased by 3 to 4 times. How it will help? If they will increase the parking fee, means less people will take their vehicles to the road and park. So it is the initiative for curb pollution in Delhi. Next is focus on short-lived climate pollutants. The word itself says short-lived, means these pollutants survive for the very short time in the environment, but these are equally, means these are more potent gas, these are more potent greenhouse gas. Okay, like methane is short-lived climate pollutant. HFC, hydrofluorocarbon, which we use in the refrigerants in place of CFC. Black carbon, this is tropospheric ozone, etc. SLCP migration has been put in to avoid up to 0.6 degrees C of the warming by mid-century, uh, which this aggressive CO2 migration in comparable to scenario leads to less than half as much as near-term reducing in warming. Actually, if you'll see the warming is what means, it is increase in the temperature because of increase in the retention time of heat in our troposphere. And these short-lived climate pollutants are very potent gases which increases the retention time of heat. Of course, they are short-lived, but they are very problematic. Next is noise level. In this, common outdoor sound levels in the dBA, that is decibels, is given. Like you should know the basic, like means in bedroom at night, this what is the background sound, that is 30 decibels. It talks about too high about the diesel truck will this 90 decibels, 110 for the this jet flyover at 100 feet, this horn noise train at 100 feet, this is about the 110 decibels. Let's see the important regulations for the noise pollution. This is all controlled by CPCB, that is Central Pollution Control Board, has laid down the permissible noise levels India for the different areas. They are categorized into three areas. Like first is industrial areas. Industrial area sound level is means limit for the sound level is high, that is 75 decibels at daytime and 70 at night. Second is the commercial areas 65 decibels at day and 55 decibels during night. In residential areas, this is 55 decibels in day and 45 decibels in night. And what is the meaning of the silent zone? Actually, silent zone can be declared by the state government. The area means lying within the 100 meters for premises of schools, college, hospitals and courts. This means in the silent zone the limit is quite lower. The noise limit in this zone is the 50 decibels during the day and 40 decibels during the night. Means in comparison to any other area, it is very less in the silent zone. Silent doesn't mean there is no sound. It means the limit for the noise is less. So you understand, we all measure in this dB. dB is what? Decibels. dB is the decibels. Let's see the different laws governing the noise pollution. The first is Air Prevention and Control of the Pollution Act 1981. Means sound pollution or noise pollution is also controlled by the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. It includes noise as an air pollutant. Means actually, what is the noise pollution? This comes under the air pollutant. Noise emanating from the industry is to be regulated by State Pollution Control Board, Pollution Control Committees, and for states and UTs. Next is Noise Pollution Regulation and Control Rules 2000. It defines and regulates the noise pollution and its sources. Next important is the Environmental Protection Rules of 1986. It covers all. Okay. First is about the Air Prevention and Control Act 1981, and next you should remember the Environment Protection Rules of 1986. It prescribes noise standards for motor vehicles, how much sound they can release, air conditioners, refrigerators, diesel generators, and certain types of the construction equipments. Every type it is given under the Environmental Protection Rule of 1986. Like it is also written the motor vehicles, like standard noise standard for motor vehicles. So you know, like some people you have seen, they modify their bike through changing their silencer. So police can take fine, and this gives regulation according to this EPA, because there are limit for the noise which can be generated by these vehicles. Next, coming to the water pollution. What is water pollution here? First, it is written about the cause of water pollution. Nothing I can say in this, like you have to see oil spill, septic tank, air, animal dung, intensive farming, pesticides, water table, industrial waste, household waste, water waste, nuclear waste, oil pollution. All types of this comes under the water pollution. Next is about the Central Pollution Control Board. Central Pollution Control Board, a statutory body constituted under the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974, monitors water quality. Means water quality is also seen by this Central Pollution Control Board. Further, it was entrusted with the powers and the functions under the Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act 1981, monitors air quality. It also provides technical services to the MOEF-CC under the provisions of an EPA, that is 1986. Next is India and the Stockholm Convention. Stockholm Convention we have to study in last also. Just you have to remember, India ratified the convention in 2006. The MOEF notified regulation of the persistent organic pollutant rules. So what is about the Stockholm Convention? Stockholm Convention is about the regulation of persistent organic pollutants. We call it POPs. What is persistent organic pollutants? Which can retain in the environment for the long time. It cannot be broken down by the bacteria or anything, which means in the simpler form, it persists. If it comes into the environment, it persists into the environment. It actually, Stockholm Convention, it prohibits the manufacture and trade, use and export of different 7 chemicals. You don't need to remember all these chemicals. It is enough that it is about the persistent organic pollutants, and it prohibit and manufacture the trade, use and import of this different chemicals. Okay, one more line is given. India would be able to access the financial resources of the Global Environmental Facility designated under the Stockholm Convention. Okay, next topic is about the groundwater pollutants. Groundwater pollution is the topic. Different pollutants are given, permissible limit and effects are given. Let's see. First with the fluoride. See, the permissible limit is not required. This permissible limit, no one is going to ask about what is the permissible limit for the this fluoride. But yes, disease is always important. Like fluoride, this is a skeletal fluorosis. You can remember just this one word, and this teeth is also important. Means deformities or this cavity in the teeth is because of the lack of the fluorine or fluoride in the water. This is lack and excess also. Sorry, this lack of this fluorine causes fluorosis in the teeth, and excess of this fluoride creates a layer on the teeth. So it is required in a particular, this amount is required. It is written excess fluoride causes neuromuscular disorder, gastrointestinal problem, teeth deformity, hardening of bones and the skeletal fluorosis. So it creates a skeletal fluorosis. Next is arsenic. Arsenic in means gangetic belt also. Arsenic is found in means high amount in the water bodies. The permissible limit of course you don't need to remember. This is chronic exposure to arsenic causes black foot disease. It may cause diarrhea, lung and the skin cancer. Arsenic is important in the gangetic belt. We talk about the arsenic pollution also. Next is nitrates. Permissible limit, no need to remember. Excess nitrate in drinking water, that is methemoglobinemia or blue baby syndrome. Blue baby syndrome is the quite common. You have to remember also methemoglobinemia. Okay, next is about the iron. Iron is high concentration in drinking water can lead to hemochromatosis. Hemo means blood, chromatosis. So basically you can directly remember hemochromatosis, which can lead to the liver, heart and pancreatic damage. Next is lead. Lead, this is nervous system disorder. Once upon time in Maggie also there was like it was called like there's high amount of lead in Maggie than the permissible limit, but Later it was denied. Next is permissible limit of 0. This is cadmium, not required. Cadmium causes renal tubular disease, that is the stones, and itai disease, that is bone decalcification. Itai is also called ouch disease. This is also called ouch disease. The name so given because in this the pain in the bone is there. So like in moving body there is like pain in the bones. So these disease with these chemicals is important. These are already been asked in the exams. Next is heavy metal at worrying levels. These are the different levels for the different pollutants which are more than the advisable limits. Like this is the different states which are affecting, like 21 states from nitrate, fluorine, irons, this salinity, arsenic also you can see it is too high, that is 21 state, and iron is also 26 states and UTs. These are the affected states and UTs, means these are more than the permissible limit. Next is the regulation of the groundwater. No central law exists. The ground, because water is a state subject belong to the state, so there is no central law exist in that case of groundwater. The groundwater sustainable management bill 2017 is still pending. However, under the EPA 1986, the Central Groundwater Authority can issue guidelines for the development and the management of this groundwater resources. The chemical quality of the groundwater is monitored once a year by the Central Groundwater Board through a network about the 15,000 observation wells located all over the country. Next, it is given about the surface water pollution. A status of the surface water pollution in India. The CPCB considers biological oxygen demand less than 3 milligram per liter as an indicator of healthy river. As per CPCB report, 80% of India's surface water is polluted. Means 80% of the India's surface water is polluted. This is the very huge amount it is giving. It leads to be the poor nutrient as well as vector-borne disease such as cholera, dysentery, jaundice, etc. This image is given about this is sources of the surface water pollution. This not, you can see just simple figure is given. When it rains, water that it is not absorbed into the ground intercepts by the vegetation or evaporates flow into the surface water such as the rivers, canals, coastal water. This flow is called the runoff, and as the runoff flows over the roads and lands, it picks up pollutants. So it is showing different pollutants are generated from the runoff. So you can see a simple figure is given. There is nothing in this figure. Okay, even not very important for the exam. Okay, how the means pollution creates, it is showing. Okay, this is important. Like this is pollutant water pollution. It is giving two types of source. First is the non-point source, other is the point source. You know what is the point source? Means if it is generated from the specific point, it is called point source. What are the point source? Like it is given sewage treatment plant, animal feed, feedlots, factories and disposal sites. These are the point source. Actually, the point source can be targeted. Okay, point source can be targeted. So the pollution emitting from this like factory, it can first be cleaned and then put into this water body. So we divide it like point source and non-point source. It is difficult to target the non-point source because farmlands and this golf course, how you are going to target this area? This all water will flow, means runoff will flow in the water body. Next is residential and the neighboring and the urban streets. This also comes in the non-point source. Construction sites and deforested and overgrazing land. This also comes in the non-point source. You should know the point source and non-point source. I think you understand this. If it is targeted and if it is released from some point is called point source, and if you cannot target it and if it is released from the different area, then it is called non-point source. India's most polluted river sketch. This is given, just you can see what are the most polluted rivers here. Like see, this is given in dark is the most polluted rivers. Okay. Coming to the next page, there are some terms given here. We have to just look into it. Like industry nitrogen oxides from autos and smoke stack, toxic chemicals and heavy metals in effluent flow into bay and estuaries. Like different pollutants flow into this bays and estuaries. Cities, toxic metals and the oil from the streets and the parking lots pollute water. Sewage adds nitrogen and phosphorus. These are the nutrients, nitrogen and phosphorus, which is added by the cities, toxic metals and different like sewage. Okay, and toxic metals is also added in the water body given here. Okay, next is urban sprawl, bacteria and the viruses from the sewers are and safety tanks contaminate shellfish bed and close beaches. Runoff of the fertilizers from lawns add nutrient, nitrogen and phosphorus. Next is the construction site sediments are washed into the waterways, choking fish and plants, clouding water and blocking sunlight. Next is farm runoff of the pesticides, manures and the fertilizers add the toxins and excess nitrogen and phosphorus. Runoff is one of the most important reason of this farmland, like toxic materials from the pesticides and the nitrogen and the phosphorus from the fertilizer is added into the water body, which lead this nitrogen and phosphorus lead to the eutrophication. Next is red tides. Excess nitrogen causes explosive growth of the toxic microorganism algae, poisoning fish and the marine mammals. This is called red tides. A word is given. This is actually red tide, which is the excess nitrogen cause explosive growth of the toxic microscopic algae, poisoning fish and marine mammals. Just remember it. Next is toxic sediments. Chemicals and toxic metals contaminate shellfish beds, kills spawning fish and accumulate in the tissues of the bottom feeder. Next is oxygen depleting zone. Next is oxygen depleting zones, sedimentation and algae. This is not written correctly. This is sedimentation and algae overgrowth, reduce sunlight, kill beneficial seagrasses, use up oxygen and degrade habitats. Next is healthy zones, clear oxygen rich water, promote growth of the planktons and seagrasses and support fish. This healthy zone is reducing with the pollution. Let's look into the eutrophication. What is basic definition of eutrophication? Eutrophication is actually enrichment of nutrients in the water bodies. Nutrients in water bodies. This is actually means enhanced. This is called cultural eutrophication. Means there are two types of eutrophication. First is natural eutrophication. Actually, eutrophication is the natural process which takes over the time. It takes centuries to do. This is called natural eutrophication. This is a process that occurs as a lake or the river ages over a period of hundreds or the thousands of years. But this cultural eutrophication means this is the addition of nutrients, excess addition of nutrients in the water body that causes cultural eutrophication that reduces the time in decades, a process that occurs when the human release excess amount of the nutrient. It shortens the rate of aging to the decades, means which was going to be in century is going to be in the decades. So this natural eutrophication is converted to this cultural eutrophication when we pollute this water bodies. Water bodies is polluted with the nutrients. Next, it is the topic like causes and the effects of the harmful algal bloom. Okay, this is small written, but whatever I have already discussed, that is phosphorus, nitrogen and potassium. This type of nutrients enriched in the water body that creates algal bloom. And what happens with the algal bloom? Actually, in the algal bloom, like more oxygen is required for their growth. This will cover a whole lake or water body. If you have even traveled from your villages, you have seen like lakes and ponds are filled with the algae. This is green algae, this is algal bloom is already there. Okay, and what they do, they actually means reduces the amount of oxygen in the water body, and also reduces the amount of penetration of sunlight in the water body. Because of that, the lower organism, marine species, dies. Okay, like the situation of algal bloom is creates hypoxia is what? This is actually the dead zone. Hypoxia condition is what? The creation of dead zone, like there will lack of oxygen, then we call it hypoxia situation of the water body. This is also written about the cyanobacteria. Next, see, it is given about in India, 4 regions have been identified as algal bloom hotspot. Visualizing, first is the northeastern Arabian Sea, coastal wetland of Kerala, third is Gulf of Mannar, and fourth is the coastal water of Gopalpur. These are important, you should remember this. In India, 4 regions have been identified as algal bloom hotspot. Visualizing, first is the northeastern Arabian Sea, coastal water of Kerala, Gulf of Mannar, and the coastal waters of the Gopalpur. Next, coming to the bioaccumulation. This is actually trying to give the difference between biomagnification and bioaccumulation. What is first the biomagnification term? When we move in the upper trophic level, the amount of contaminants increases in the upper trophic level. Like this will be add-on. This has shown like in this figure, like a small fish, large fish will eat a small fish and have bioaccumulation. Next, this is the biomagnification. Next to the more larger fish, this will create more bioaccumulation, and this in the upper trophic level, it will create more biomagnification species. Okay, so the biomagnification is the increase in the contaminant level in different trophic levels. It is written here, biomagnification, also known as bioamplification, is the process by which substances become more concentrated in the bodies of consumers as one moves up the food chain, that is trophic level. When chemicals or pesticides are let into the river or lake, they are consumed by the aquatic organism like fish, which are in turn consumed by the large birds, animals, or humans. These harmful substances becomes concentrated in the tissues, internal organs as it moves up the food chain. This is actually the biomagnification term. Next is consequences of HABs, impact over the water quality. We have already discussed the water quality, like color changes, obnoxious smell, unfit for drinking. This smell is because the bioorganisms are not able to degrade the organic materials. Next is impact over biodiversity, limited penetration of light causing die-off of the plants in littoral zones and their development dependent population. This increases the biological oxygen demand of the water. What is the biological oxygen demand? The dissolved oxygen. There is a graph in this biological oxygen demand, like okay, I will discuss it later. Just remember 2 terms you should know, that is dissolved oxygen and biological oxygen demand. Okay, next is impact over humans. This is important, you should remember this. Eating seafood contaminate the toxins from algae. This is the important point. This is toxins from algae called Alexandrium can that lead to paralytic shellfish poisoning, which can cause paralysis and even death. Means this algae also releases toxins. This is important. The algae Pseudonitgesia produces a toxic called the domic acid, and that can cause vomiting, diarrhea, confusion, seizures, permanent short-term memory loss, or death when consumed at high levels. Consumption may result into the accumulation of toxic waste in the human body through the biological process such as the bioaccumulation and biomagnification. Let's see this biomagnifying substances here at this page. Okay, first here I'm telling you like what is the biological oxygen demand and dissolved oxygen. If I draw a figure like this crosses over this. Like if this is biological oxygen demand, this is dissolved oxygen. As the biological oxygen demand increases, dissolved oxygen decreases. This is actually the figure we made it for the pollution. Like if it is the upper stage is the pollution zone. This is the pollution zone where the dissolved oxygen is more and biological oxygen demand is less. When we pollute the water body, then biological oxygen demand continuously increases and dissolved oxygen decreases. This is called active decomposition zone. This is called active decomposition zone. I think it is clear here. And next, in the last stage, this is recovery zone. Active recovery zone, we can say. This is active recovery zone. In active recovery zone, the amount of dissolved oxygen again increases as the biological demand decreases. So I'm just trying to say, like if the biological oxygen demand increases, dissolved oxygen increases. So this is the active decomposition zone. Bacteria acts faster on the organic substance to decompose it, so dissolved oxygen decreases. But in the active recovery zone, again the decomposition process is completed and this biological oxygen demand again reduces with the time and dissolved oxygen increases. Let's see the substances that have potential to biomagnify. These substances you need to remember. First is the PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls. This is used as insulators in transformer and the fire retardants. Next is polynucleated aromatic hydrocarbons which are present in the petroleum products. Next is heavy metals like mercury, copper, cadmium, this chromium, lead, zinc, lead, nickel, zinc, tin. Okay. Next is cyanides used in the fishing and also in the gold leaching. You should remember all these compounds. Next is effect of biomagnification. We have already discussed the effect of biomagnification. High concentration of DDT. DDT is, that's why banned. It is actually persistent organic pollutant which biomagnifies. In some birds species causes failure of eggs by thinning the shells. Means the baby bird will not produce because their eggshell will be damaged, like that will be thin. PCBs can affect the immune system, fertility, child development and possibly increase the risk of certain cancers. Next is mercury poisoning. Mercury poisoning, we all know this Minamata disease interferes with the nervous system development in the fetuses and young children. Coming to the next, bioaccumulation versus biomagnification. We have already discussed the bioaccumulation and biomagnification. Sometimes we use interchangeably with the bioaccumulation. An important distinction between the bioaccumulation and biomagnification is that bioaccumulation occurs within a trophic level and is the increase in the concentration of substance in certain tissues of organism's body due to the absorption from the food and the environment. The longer the half-life of the substance, the greater is the risk of poisoning through level of toxins and not very high in the environment. Bioaccumulation varies between individual organisms as well as between the species. This is about the large species having more bioaccumulation. Coming to the different laws and the policies. Laws and policies of controlling water pollution in India. Not all are important. First is the Water Prevention and Control of the Pollution Act 1974. It is established pollution control boards at central and state levels based on them with the power to prevent and control water pollution and advise government on the matter of pertaining such pollutants. Next is National River Conservation Plan. National River Conservation Plan. Under this Ganga Action Plan is also there, 1985. With the Ganga Action Plan, its main objective is to reduce the pollution load of the river through the implementation of the various pollutant abatement works, thereby improving the water quality. It is for the overall all the rivers also. National Water Monitoring Program, under this CPCB, that is Central Pollution Control Board, monitors the water quality of both surface and the groundwater through a network of monitoring station in the country. Next is Namami Gange program. I think you all know about the Namami Gange. It is important for the exam also. For effective abatement of pollution, conservation and rejuvenation of the national river Ganga. Next is National Water Policy 2012. One of the important provisions includes conservation of river corridors and water bodies and ensuring that industrial effluent, local cesspools, reducing the fertilizers and chemical etc. do not reach to the water sources. Means it is avoiding the reaching of pollutant water in the water, in this water body. Polluted water in the water body. Yep. Pollutants in the water body. Next is budget 1920. Some announcement is there, not so important. The Water Prevention and the Control Pollution Amendment Act 2024. This is normal, not too important for the exam. Next, coming to the marine pollution. In this figure, they want to show the iceberg. Like this is the iceberg, and they want to, and this figure tries to justify this is only the 10%, which is the tip of the iceberg, is the plastic pollution. Not everything is every pollution is related with this plastic pollution. Other pollutants are also responsible. Let's see one by one. The topic is the ocean pollution. Berg, this iceberg wala concept. Berg, plastic waste is just the tip of the large problems, that is plastic waste, the tip of the pollution berg. Next is oil spill and this aquatic killer. Oil spill is also an aquatic killer. Next is the mercury pollution. We know Minamata disease, and this is also quicksilver bullets, manufactured chemicals, a heavy cocktail. These chemicals are also mixed with the water. Pesticides, collateral damage. Next is nutrients from the farmland. Feeding this fungi also creates problem. You must know the way forward, how we are going to deal with the problem. The world leaders who take bold evidences based action to stop the pollution at source will be critical to preventing ocean pollution and safeguarding human health. Measures such as these could help with the 6 problems. First is 6 problems are mentioned. These are the solution. Better management of the plastic waste. Bans on the single-use plastic. Next is the wide-scale transition to the renewable fuels. Next is banning mercury and eliminating the coal combustion. The main source of mercury is the combustion of coal. Chemical control policies. Mandatory pre-market toxicity test. Bans on persistent organic pollutants. Control of the industrial discharge. Better treatment of the sewage, reducing the application of fertilizer. Next is transition to circular economy, building scientific capacity, embracing green chemistry, designation of marine protected areas, that is MPAs. Coming to the regulation about the marine pollution, there is no concrete regulation for the marine pollution in India, even though India is signatory of MARPOL. This is important. MARPOL, International Convention on Prevention of Marine Pollution. This is marine pollution. Okay, International Convention on Prevention of Marine Pollution. India is signatory of this. India does not have a distinct policy for marine pollution and for tackling marine litter. This is the important point. India does not have a distinct policy for the marine pollution. This is the time, this is the need of the hour to have this policy regarding the marine pollution. Next is Indian policy is restricted only to the banning of single-use plastic. Like there are different policies which actually means for the means justification for the this marine pollution, but not directly involved. Like prevention of marine pollution is dealt by the Merchant Shipping Rule 2009 under the Merchant Shipping Act of 1958, EPA Environmental Protection this Protection Act of 1986, Prevention and Control of the Pollution Act 1981, rules made under CP, that is Central Pollution Control Board. When we talk about the marine pollution, this is the most important talk. Like we must talk about the Great Pacific Garbage Bag, because in the Pacific, this is North Pacific, this is the North Pacific where this garbage bag is created. Let's see once. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is collection of marine debris in the North Pacific Ocean, also known as the Pacific Trash Vortex. The garbage patch is actually two distinct collections of the debris bounded by massive North Pacific subtropical gyre. The patch covers 1.6 million square kilometer area and is increased continuously. Means because of the ocean currents, there is formation of a gyre. This is a formation of the gyre where these garbages are trapped, and this is showing like Western Garbage Patch, and this is the California Eastern Patch of the North Pacific subtropical this subtropical area. This figure we have already discussed the biome accumulation and all these things. If you want, you can see once. I will post this PDF in my Telegram. Next is the thermal pollution. What is the thermal pollution actually? Thermal pollution is the increase of the water temperature by 10 to 15 degrees C. How it occurs? This occurs because of this thermal power plants or any power plants. Nuclear power plant also can also create this thermal pollution. Let's see. Thermal pollution, it is the degradation of water quality by any process that changes the ambient water temperature by 10 to 15 degrees. Next is causes. What are the causes? Water discharge from the nuclear power plant, coal fire plants, industrial effluent, hydroelectric power. Means hot water. This hot water is released into the fresh water body. In that case, thermal pollution may occur. What is the solution for this? It is means what we can do. We can create a lagoon in which water should be contained for some time. After it is cooled, then it should be free to the. This should be free to the this normal water body. Okay. What are the effects? Increase in the water temperature decreases dissolved oxygen in the water, increases the metabolism in fish, decline in the swimming efficiency, decrease resistance, decrease aquatic plant and animals, especially warm tropical animals who live close to the upper limit of the temperature. Okay. Actually, we know most of the species in the water body is the cold-blooded. That's why they have very defined temperature range, and this variation in the temperature affects almost all the species present in the water body. What is the solution? We have already discussed. Store the hot water in the cooling ponds. Allow the water to cool before they release into any receiving water body. Means first we have to cool it, then we have to release it into the different water body. Next, coming to the next topic, this is the soil pollution. In the soil pollution, again we don't have any legislation, a specific legislation related to the soil also. There are different types of soil pollution it can be used, like municipal solid waste, agricultural waste, industrial hazard waste, biomedical waste, electronic waste. All these comes in the soil pollution. Here specific data are given which is not very important for the examination. Coming to the control of the soil pollution in India, unlike water and the air pollution, there is no specific legislation in India that regulates the land pollution. In general, land pollution is dealt under the Environmental Protection Act of 1986. Again, this land protection, pollution and everything comes under the EPA, while defines the hazardous substance and confers the powers of making the rules related to them upon the central government. Again, we don't have a specific law for this soil. Acting on such power, central government has brought Solid Waste Management Rule 2016, Hazardous and Other Waste Management Rules 2016, Plastic Waste Management Amended Rule 2018, E-Waste Management Rule 2022, and Biomedical Waste Management Rules 2018. All these acts are important for the exam. You should study in separate all these acts. I think UPSC has already asked about the Plastic Waste Management Amendment Rule 2018. E-waste is also important. They have already asked e-waste also. Coming to the radioactive pollution. In the radioactive pollution, we understand this is talking about the nuclear waste and its disposal. The most important problem of the using nuclear energy is the its waste disposal. Like 10% of the world electricity is produced by the nuclear energy. If they will talk about the India, how much energy we produce in India, that is 3% of the total energy in India is produced by nuclear energy. Means we are lower than the world average. There are 435 nuclear power plants. Okay, it is given about all over the world, not very important. What is nuclear waste? The waste which is generated during the process of generating electricity from the nuclear power plant comes under the nuclear waste. Okay, some data are given. Types of nuclear waste in this: low level waste, intermediate level waste, and high level waste are given. This is about the contamination. How much contaminated the this waste is, that is called the level of contamination. And disposal is according to them also. There are two types of disposal it is talking about: near surface disposal and the deep geological disposal. If low level of the waste is there, then it is disposed through the near surface disposal, whereas if it is intermediate and the high level, it is disposed through the deep geological disposal. Few facts about the nuclear power plants. Atomic Energy Commission, initially for looking into the development of nuclear power in India, was established in 1948 under the leadership of Dr. Homi J. Bhabha. This Atomic Energy Commission was converted into Department of Atomic Energy in 1954. And there a forum occur, that is Forum for the Peaceful Use of Nuclear Energy. Forum for Peaceful Use of Nuclear Technology. Dr. Homi J. Bhabha presented a paper having plan of 3-stage use of nuclear energy. This is stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3. Stage 3. Stage 1 was based on the uranium. Stage 1 was based on uranium. This stage 1 is looked after in India by NPCIL, that is Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. And there are 22 nuclear power plants and in the 7 nuclear parks. Okay, stage 2 is based on plutonium. For this, a company named Bhavini is generated. Bhavini is generated. This is the Bharatiya Navikiya Vidyut Nigam Limited, and we have currently PFBR. This is prototype fast breeder reactor in Kalpakkam, that is based on stage 2. Stage 3 is based on thorium. You must know thorium is found in the monazite sand, and India is having approximately 25% of the world reserve of the thorium or monazite sand. So this is the fuel of the future and have the potential to generate huge amount of energy. Coming back to the topic, Atomic Energy Regulatory Board of India calls for the reprocessing of the spent fuel and then disposing the waste to a repository. The repository must be located at Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. At this same statement is given. Okay, a remote place. First condition is it should be present at remote place and where the circulation of groundwater is absent, means there should be no groundwater has ability to contain radionuclides for the geologically long period of time, so that that area is not disturbed. Otherwise there will be possibility of nuclear pollution. The high level radioactive waste are managed in 3 stages. These are not required that we study the all 3 stages for the disposal. Next, coming to the topic electromagnetic radiation spectrum. Here there are 2 types of radiation it is talking: non-ionized radiation and ionizing radiation. What is non-ionizing radiation? Having longer wavelength means the energy is less, and so it is called non-ionizing radiation, whereas ionizing radiation having the high amount of energy. In this figure it tries to explain this non-ionizing radiation and ionizing radiation. Here in the electromagnetic spectrum line we can see in between there is VIB-Gyor, that is visible region, VIB-Gyor. And here is the ultraviolet, here is the X-ray, and here is the gamma. And here is infrared, microwave, and this is radio wave. These are having larger wavelength. Wavelength is large. It means wavelength is large, and we know that frequency is inversely proportional to lambda. So frequency is less. Here the wavelength is small, so frequency is high. Wavelength is small and so frequency is high. It means energy is high. Energy is high. More the energy, more is the penetration, or more is the more radiation is the ionizing. So what are the ionizing radiation? That is UV, X and gamma. What are non-ionizing radiation? That is infrared, microwave and radio waves. Coming back to the figure, here non-ionizing radiation, that is microwave, we already discussed, like radio waves, radio spectrum, and this infrared is also there. And in the ionizing radiation, that is ultraviolet, X-ray, gamma rays, all this come in the ionizing radiation, which is having the harmful effects. See here, definition for the radiation of ionizing and non-ionizing is given. Non-ionizing radiation, they are constituent of by the electromagnetic waves at longer wavelength of a spectrum ranging from near infrared rays to radio waves, whereas ionizing radiations, electromagnetic radiations such as short wavelength, ultraviolet radiation, gamma rays, X-rays and energetic particles produces nuclear processes. Electrically charged particle like alpha, beta particles produces a radioactive decay, and the neutrons produces a nuclear fission and are highly damaging to the living organism. So these are the pollution, radioactive pollution. EMF radiation norms in India. India adopted International Commission for Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection guidelines in 2008 based on the recommendations of Interministerial Committee constituted by Department of Technology in year 2010. The permissible limit of electromagnetic radiation from mobile towers is reduced to 1/10 of the limit prescribed by ICNIRP. India has adopted the most stringent SAR value of 1.6 watt per kg for the mobile handsets. It has been mandatory for all the mobile phones sold in India to display its SAR value. This is important, you should know that. Indian Telegraph Act 1885, this has been enacted for the strict compassion. Okay. Now coming to our last topic, that is international convention. These are the important one. International convention. First is the Stockholm Declaration of 1992. As we all know, Stockholm Declaration was actually on the 5 June 1972. 5 June 1972. On 5th June, that's why we celebrate, this is World Environment Day. We celebrate on the 5th June because of the Stockholm Declaration. This was the first declaration on environment. Next is Convention on Long Range Transboundary Air Pollution 1979. We have already discussed earlier, to reduce and prevent the air pollution, including long-range transboundary air pollution. Next is the Vienna Convention of 1985. This is to protect ozone. In Vienna Convention, then Montreal Protocol, in 1987 to protect ozone layer and phasing out ozone depleting substances occurred. Actually, Montreal Protocol was on 16 September 1987. That's why on 16 September we celebrate World Ozone Day. This is phasing out chlorofluorocarbon to protect ozone layer. Kigali Amendment of 2019 included hydrofluorocarbon as well. Actually, hydrofluorocarbon HFC is a greenhouse gas. It is actually a greenhouse gas. This is not a ozone depleting substance, even though it is put under the Kigali Agreement of the Montreal Protocol, because it is replacement of CFC. It is actually the replacement of CFC. Even though it is a greenhouse gas, even though it is put under this Kigali Agreement of the Montreal Protocol, not under the Kyoto Protocol of the greenhouse gas. Understood? This is the Kigali Amendment. Amends Montreal Protocol to fight global warming. 80% of HFC consumption this 2047. Actually, we have to reduce the 80% of the HFC consumption by 2047. This is to fight the, see here, it is written global warming. Okay. These points are important. You should know this. Vienna Convention is also, Montreal Protocol is also important. This Basel Convention is also important. Basel Convention is for transboundary movement of the hazardous waste. This is also important. Framework Convention on the Climate Change 1992. This is about the Earth Summit. In Earth Summit 1992, there was 3 different areas was selected. One of them was the climate change. Okay, and under climate change, UNFCCC was established. This is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Under this, COPs were organized. And this COP3 resulted in the formation of Kyoto Protocol. Okay, so it is written about the global warming. Climate change is related to this global warming. So it is written Kyoto Protocol, CO2 plus 6 other greenhouse gases. This is important gases. You should remember all the names of the 6 gases. First is methane, nitrous oxide, sulfur hexafluoride, hydrofluorocarbon, perfluorocarbons. Okay, these are important. They can directly ask you in the examination, what are the different this greenhouse gases are there. Okay, directly they can ask. Next is Stockholm Convention of 2001. This is for the persistent organic pollutants. This is called dirty dozens. Dirty dozen is because there are 12 chemicals are mentioned here. 12 chemicals are mentioned. Therefore, they are telling like dirty dozens. These are the persistent organic pollutants, means they persist in the atmosphere. Like DDT is important. You all know about the DDT. Endrin is also important. Okay, Altrin is also important. So some are important. You should see this. Next is Minamata Convention of 2013. Minamata is about the mercury. You all know the disease, Minamata disease, that is mercury pollution, and this is for the mercury compound to protect the health and the environment from anthropogenic emission release of the mercury. Next is UNREDD, reducing emission from deforestation and the forest degradation. Next is REDD plus, reducing emission from the deforestation and forest degradation plus conservation and the enhancement of the forest carbon stock and sustainable management of forest. Next is Rotterdam Convention of 1998. This is convention on prior information consent procedure for certain hazardous chemicals and pesticides in the international trade. It means it is need to prior inform for certain hazardous chemical and pesticides if it is traded internationally. This is the Rotterdam Convention. At least you should remember that this aim of each and everything, this international convention. That's all for the now. Pollution is completed. I will post this PDF in my Telegram channel. You can find the link in the description. Thank you.